Do something without me.
It's his human voice for me.
Oh my god.
All right, y'all ready?
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Evelyn!
It was him breathing.
We're not gonna keep doing it. We're not gonna keep doing this 5,000 times.
Hello guys, welcome back to Champagne and Chanel, the podcast with Evelyn
And Paiton.
Yes, and as you can see, we have a special guest.
Whoop, whoop,
Whoop, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Hey.
Yes, so introduce yourself. Who are you?
So my name is Chris, but I go by Tonez. That's Tonez. I am I guess you can call me a local artist. But yeah, they invited me on the podcast, and I guess we're gonna see what it do.
Yeah. So you may know or may not know, but he is my brother and also a cousin to Paiton over here. So we just decided to invite him on as a guest. We wanted to kind of dive more into his career with music. He definitely is a amazing artist when it comes to the music artistry, the industry, I think, personally. So we just wanted to get his perspective on certain things. So what we're going to do is just move right into it. We're going to get right into it.
Okay.
So kind of just, tell us more about just what kind of sparked your interest in music. So you do live in Minnesota right now.
Yeah, so originally from out here, Chicago area, but I did move to Minnesota back in 2016, and I've been out there ever since. Originally, I moved out there for work, and I sort of found my place in music while I was out there, honestly. But before then, music has always been a part of, I guess, our family as a whole. Our dad, rest in peace, he was an incredible singer, played the piano. His mom sung. Our mom sings on her side and her family as well. So I sort of picked that up, originally through church. Playing the drums as a little kid, my pops playing the keys and everything like that. And then it just sort of developed over time. I started finding my voice and singing. And, honestly, my musical, influences are very, very broad. I'm into all kinds of music. But, I say, church and gospel, so where it originated from. And then from there, it sort of evolved into a bigger, wide range of other people and experiences.
So for some who may not know, what is your preferred genre for music that you kind of into?
Honestly, I am personally an R&B artist, what I would consider. I love all kinds of other types of music, but R&B is probably something I sort of have fell in love for. And honestly, I say a lot of that roots from our upbringing, some of the music that we sort of got introduced to. One person, for example, was Boyz II Men. They're probably one of the biggest influences that I had growing up, and I listened to them so much. But yeah, we got introduced to a lot of oldies as well, like Sam Cooke. Who else? Stevie Wonder, people like that. And that's really where my R&B sort of started. And then, a lot of R&B people that are in that genre as well. They probably know who Brandy is. She's another person that really I tried to emulate growing up. She's what they call the vocal Bible. So she's done all the runs and the harmonies and stuff like that. So she's really like helped me to sort of find my voice and helped me to harness a lot of musical elements that I tried to incorporate in my music today. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So, how has your experience been as an independent artist? Kind of talk about that, how it is navigating, how it is navigating, I guess, the music scene out there in Minnesota, because I'm not too familiar with the music scene out there, how they do stuff, or like maybe what your transition may be to, bless you, to move on to, a different level in your artist career. So.
Yeah. So, as an independent artist, it's the only thing that I know as of now. So, for a lot of people out there that don't really know the whole aspect of like becoming an artist and sort of being, out there in the public, there's mainly two ways or 2 or 3 routes that you would go. So, you'd either go independent or you'd sign with a label. And currently, right now, I'm not signed with the label, but I am what they consider independent artists. So, everything that people hear and will hear, hopefully, I've sort of done myself. I produce all my own stuff. I write all my own stuff. I mix and master all my own music. And through all of that, like, I've had to learn it from the ground up. It's been trial and error. There's been, happy accidents, all of that, but it's one of those things where I think every artist should at least try to put themselves in that position, because it really helps you appreciate the music more. I know a lot of artists, and everybody has their own like reason for wanting to do music and to sign to a label. But, when you do sign with a label, sometimes, they end up doing most of the legwork and you're just there to show face and, give your talents and stuff like that. But a lot of artists sometimes get, robbed because, the label themselves is sort of doing all the expense work, and a lot of that is coming out of their, whatever they're being paid. So I feel like as an independent person that can sort of navigate and do everything themselves, that's really like a benefit in the long run, because you don't have to try to like pay for, studio time. You don't have to try to pay for beats. You don't have to try to, pay for somebody to mix and mix and master your stuff. And also I feel like that's an asset, and I'm sort of somebody that I can lend my stuff towards, or lend my critiques towards other people. So if people want me to write for them, if people want me to produce for them, which I have done before, if people want me to record them, that's something that I can also sort of put forth besides the whole artistry thing. But yeah, the experience as an independent artist is definitely a rocky road. It's definitely going to be harder versus signing with a label. Money is a real big key to, I guess, being put on, as they would say. And having that label or having that money in the background, that really helps an artist. It helps them to, pay for promotion, pay for marketing, pay for music videos, blah, blah, blah. As an independent artist, all of that is coming straight out of my pocket. So it's, it's not as easy for me to just be like, hey, I want to, do this and I want to do that. I have to sort of, make that money. And whatever I make from, whether it be recording other people or from my streams, I have to then recycle that and put that back into my artistry. Whether that be marketing, whether that be, music videos, etc. So, but yeah, that was a real long explanation. But at the end of the day, it's definitely something that I encourage artists to at least start as. That way they sort of appreciate their place in the music industry.
Yeah, and I guess kind of just get that perspective. It's sort of that behind the scenes of what it feels like. Because I feel like it kind of will make you appreciate sort of once you do get to a certain place more. Because you'll know what it's like to have to, you know, hustle and grind for certain things.
Oh yeah.
To get to that spot that you want to be at.
Exactly. No, that's it. I mean, you know, it's real different. You know, even just in life, having people hand stuff to you, versus having to actually work for it and get down and actually, you know, have to experience having to struggle and all that. So it really builds character as an artist. It builds character, you know, as you go through the steps of becoming an artist. And it, like you said, you know, it really helps. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys can sort of relate, you know, having to start independent with the podcast and stuff like that. So
yeah, for sure. Especially with the money perspective, it definitely takes money to make money, for sure. So you can see that just from any artistry. You have to put in the time, the work, and actually have discipline to kind of make time for that craft. Because I've always heard people sort of the battle between what's harder, you know, being an artist or having a full-time job. And a lot of people always say, well, being an artist is the hardest. And for me, I hadn't really had that perspective. I always had the full-time job perspective. And to me, that was rough.
yeah.
Because you're working for somebody else. You got to get up when they tell you to get up. You got to be at work when they tell you to be at work. You got to be done when they tell you to be done. Or you got to work when you don't want to work because you got to meet deadlines, stuff like that. And you just dealing with people in general when you're in that, you know, field of corporate work. So I never really got that artist perspective. But kind of, you know, diving into it a little bit, I can see why they would say it is a lot because you have to have discipline. You have to be the one to get yourself up to do what it is you said you were going to do. You're the one that have to come up with, you know, the schedules with, even in your case, music, lyrics, with us, topics for pop. Like, you have to think sort of and find ways to engage people because people have a short attention span.
Oh, yeah.
Very short. So you don't want to stay on one thing too long. You want to make sure you're doing the right thing at the right time so you have, you know, as much engagement for people as possible. So I can kind of see both sides, and it's a difference, but they're both hard in their own ways. Yeah, I would say.
And to piggyback off of that, honestly, I feel like the difference is really just passion.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, they're both hard in their own ways. Like whether you're an independent artist or pursuing music as a career or working a 9-to-5 or, you know, whatever the case is, it all just comes down to the passion that you have for what you're doing. Like if you love what you do, you're gonna get up and want to, you know, do X, Y, and Z. You're gonna want to like put that extra effort in to do whatever you're doing, and that goes for your artistry or being at work. You know, me personally, I've had both. You know, like I moved to Minnesota for a full-time job. You know, I was working 7 days out the week, and let me tell you something. If it was music that I was doing that 7 times out the week, I'm all for it. But you know, I think whatever you're passionate for, that's what you're gonna sort of put your time and effort towards. And also, whatever you're passionate about, I don't think it's gonna really feel like it's
work.
It's work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Necessarily. Of course, like with both, like there's always things that you're gonna have to do that you may not be comfortable with doing or want to do. And just like anything in life, things can get monotonous when you're just doing it over and over again. It's just like, oh, it's another day. So that's why sometimes it helps to sort of, me personally, I always have to take breaks from music because I just feel like if I'm doing it too much or if I'm constantly in that world. Like, I can't come up with new material.
Right.
Like, I can't give my creative juices the room to breathe. So, yeah, I mean, it really does boil down, in my opinion, to the passion. So, you know, whatever you got a passion for, like, pursue it and put that effort into it, because you'll really see a difference. Like, sometimes you don't even have to make that much money from it. Yeah. It's just the fact that you're happy and doing what you're doing. It's really gonna speak volumes into your life and how you interact with other people. Mm-hmm. They're gonna be like, man, they seem pretty happy. Like, I wonder what they do.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's how I look at it. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I definitely feel though, like when you're doing things that you're passionate about, you do have to be careful not to burn out.
Oh yeah.
Because it's something you love to do, and you don't want, like you said, what you love to do to kind of feel like a job.
Yeah.
Because now it's no longer something that you're passionate about. It's just something that you're just doing to do.
Yeah. Maybe
just to make money, because maybe it's bringing in huge income. So now that's your purpose for it. Or, maybe it's because, it's all of the congratulations and everything, the likes and the comments that you get from other people, which is great. But now it's like you're doing it for them rather than doing it for you.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to find the balance between, I'm creating this content for everybody because I want people to like it. I want people to enjoy it. I want them to indulge in and have a great time when they're viewing, watching, listening, whatever. But also, how do I create stuff that I would like to create, that I want to create, that sometimes may not be what other people want to hear. Like, that may not be what they're interested in at the time. Like, this may be a difficult conversation to have, like on our podcast. And maybe other people don't want to hear that. Like, now what do you do? Because you might, lose some followers. You might lose some fans now. You might, now you didn't kind of like, so it's like finding that balance between like, how much can I take it over the edge of what I really like to do and share about myself versus, giving the people what they want.
Yeah, I mean, that's real strong. Honestly, I feel like, there's an old saying that you can't please everybody. So I think what's really important, even as starting a podcast or starting as an artist, to really find your niche. And because what happens is you start to get an audience, and that audience, they start to follow you. So they're like, oh, I like what that person does, And although, like you said, you may not always do the same thing over and over again, you may have to go outside the box every now and then and talk about, difficult things. As an artist, you may want to experiment with different types of sounds. And sometimes those original fans are like, man, I don't like what he's doing. Like, that don't sound like the person that I first discovered, So as an artist, you got to sort of take that, with a grain of salt.
Right.
And just keep doing what you feel like you need to do to develop, because at the end of the day, we see it all the time in the music world where people just follow the same formula. Everybody sound the same. They talk about the same stuff on the radio. We hear the same things over and over again. And like me personally, like, it's nice.
Love you, and we'll hear from y'all soon. Bye.
See you soon.